Okay. At this time, I would like to call to order the July the 15th meeting of the NAACP for Anne Arundel County. I'm going to open up with prayer. We'll get approval of the agenda and we proceed accordingly. Okay, let me open up with prayer. In the beginning was the word was with God, the word was God, the same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shined in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Out of John chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. Lord, we bow to you as the only God from the beginning and the only light. Thank you for Jesus who died for some Calvary's cross. Lord, we ask that you reign supreme in this meeting. God, our tongues, God, our minds, God, our hearts. Let them be seasoned with love and respect for one another as we do the great work of the NAACP. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Thank God. Amen. Amen. Everybody, please take a look at the agenda. And if I can get a motion to approve the agenda, if you look it up and down, it's our standard agenda. And somebody can just say, okay, get a second of that. Okay. We're gonna skip over the minutes of the previous meeting. You know, we don't have a secretary presently, and I got 3 people doing secretarial work. And so at this point, since we don't have any minutes from the previous meeting, Mr. Downey's still working on them. So we can get them by the next time. Hopefully we have the minutes. But a point I want to emphasize, if you know of a senior person who's involved in NAACP and is interested in functioning as the secretary, please let me know so I can vet her, because I'm looking for a senior, mature person to be our secretary going forward. So if you know of somebody, please let me know. I've been begging Carol for the longest, but she's too busy. so just keep that in mind. So we're gonna go past the minutes of the previous meeting. The reports of officers. I want to give you my presidential report. I know Mr. Downey sent out all the reports, so everybody should have had a chance to read my report. My report is pretty detailed. I just want to highlight certain things in the report. I don't want to read the entire thing because you have it in front of you. But there's certain things I want to lift off the page so you can kind of get it. Number one, of course, I've been attending all the Caucus of African American Leaders meeting, and one thing that is getting a lot of attention now is the upcoming 60th commemoration of the 1963 March on Washington. We've asked Governor Westmore to speak, and we believe he will be speaking, and it's going to be on August the 26th and the 27th. This branch of the NAACP contributed $1,000 to this effort, and there are other organizations that are contributing as well. But I want you to know we're right in the middle of it. We're right in the middle of the planning. I'm at all the meetings, things of that nature. So I want you to know. There's also a shirt. I'm gonna have to have Mr. Downey send out the form. There's a shirt that they're gonna be wearing on that day, in addition to ads if you want to advertise, things of that nature. And so I'll be sure that Mr. Downing sends that out to all of the members. That's the main thing I want to emphasize. There's something else I'm going to talk about when we get to new business at the end of the meeting, and that's reparations. That has become a very critical topic of discussion now. And it's a big time emphasis right now. And I want to share with everybody some history on that, because I want us to consider at the next meeting us coming up with a resolution that can be published. But before we do that, I want to kind of share with you a little history about reparations, and then we'll talk about it at the next meeting. Okay. Mr. Ralph Thomas and I had a meeting with the director of the Office of Emergency Management for the city of Indianapolis, Mr. Kevin Simmons. We're going to have our meeting there at the actual Office of Emergency Management in September 16th. And what the director wants to do is he wants us to participate in a simulation of an emergency, where all of these officials, when we showed us in the basement, got a special room, but they all go, they got a chair for the mayor, a chair for the chief of police, all that. And we're gonna actually sit in those chairs, and he's gonna give us a simulation of how we will respond to the emergency and kind of give us some guidance. He said, because they've done it in the past with some folk, and they're just too emotional, too extreme. You can't make that decision. And so we get a chance to experience that. That's gonna be our September 16th meeting. It's gonna be at the, what's that address here? Oh, it's right. It's on the calendar. Sure is. The actual address is on there as well. Right? Thank you, Ms. Room. 199 Taylor Avenue. Yes, it is. 199 Taylor Avenue. Right there. Oh, it is. I haven't done it before. Some people have in NAACP, but I have not. So he wanted us to have that simulation. I look forward to it. And so September the 16th, that's what, other than September 16th, we're here. But September 16th, we will be there. I don't know how much I'm going to elaborate on this. I got to give you a taste of this because a lot of people don't know about what's going on with the judiciary. The judiciary is non-diverse in the state. For those who may not know it, Maryland is the fourth most diverse state in the country, behind Hawaii, California, and Nevada. So we got diversity in this state, almost 40%, about 44%. So we almost have white and have non-white in the state. And so one of the problems, thank you, Dr. Dodoni, one of the problems that this country is having is non-diverse judiciaries. And so I had a meeting with the chief attorneys for Governor Wes Moore. I have been the only non-white attorney to challenge the state of Maryland in court, in state court, and in federal court, and I brought this over to the United States Supreme Court. And this is what I was sharing with the attorneys for Governor Wes Moore. I said, there's no desire to change the status quo, legislatively or legally. I said, and this is the reason why. My lawsuit, let me give you this first. There's an exception to our civil rights laws. There's an exception to it. When you go to the civil rights statute, 42 U.S. Code 2000 EF, when you go there, 42 U.S. Code 2000, letter E, letter F, that particular subsection. There's an exception to our civil rights code. Everybody has to follow the civil rights laws, but there's an exception. If a person is elected to public office, or if a person is appointed to a policy-making position, they, so to speak, excused from the civil rights law. So in my lawsuit was not about any elected judges or any appointed judges, but they dismissed my lawsuit because of that. You know what my lawsuit was about? My lawsuit was about the preliminary process in which non-white folks' opportunity is killed because they never get recommended to the governor, the judicial nominating commission. The statistics are in Anne Arundel County, there's been exclusion of non-white folk from the Anne Arundel County Circuit Court at 99.97% at the time I filed this lawsuit. So statistically in data, I had a flawless case, but they dismissed it saying that these people are immune from the civil rights laws. But it wasn't about the judges on the bench or elected. It was about the preliminary process that the Judicial Nominating Commission engages in to kill opportunities for non-white folks to even get recommended to the governor. So the governor never gets a chance to appoint. That's what the whole case was about. And I know some judges are not qualified to be on the bench, but I believe most of them can see an issue. That's it. The whole case was about that, and they ignored it. So there's no thirst to change the status quo in the judiciary or in the legislature. I've been talking to senators and delegates, and everybody has an excuse, and I've heard them all, and all of them are without merit to go forward. So my meeting with the attorneys for the governor was, listen, we need the governor to step in and put a stop to this. He has the authority to appoint the objectively most qualified to the bench who's not white. Because if he doesn't step in, this has been going on for almost 300 years. We could forget change if he doesn't step in. So that's what my meeting with them was all about. And they like, we appreciate it, thank you, we didn't know that. A lot of folks don't know, that's okay. And that's why NAACP is here, to enlighten us. If almost 47%, go back to this county, Anne Arundel County, it's about 44% diverse. So basically the judges and the court system is being supported with our tax money. So this is taxation without representation. One of the most offensive concepts in all of law. Reverend Jones wanted to file a class action lawsuit, but you know why I did not and could not? Because I couldn't get non-white folks to join me. There's fear. Attorneys are thinking, Reverend Jones, if I join you, I'm gonna be blackballed. I said, you're already blackballed, you're not letting us on the court now. What are you talking about? So it's a fear there. And so this is what I talked to him about. They said he'll get this to the governor, and I'm looking forward to talking to him about what he can do to start making changes, because he's about the only one who can change this right now. And so I want to share that with you. I won't take too much time. Sometimes we get complaints from the community about discriminatory acts by someone on the job or police officer or something like that. And when they file a complaint, it's always lacking something. If you look at section 11 of my report, I'm laying out the steps that you need to take and the information to give us. I was real detailed with this. Now, maybe because I'm an attorney already, I'm looking at these complaints. And maybe that may be the first time, you all hearing this, but I need details. So the NAACP is gonna go jump in and fight for you. We got to have the details. Who, what, when, where, specifics, name, addresses, the whole 9 yards. Therefore, when we go, we know where we're going and we know what to do. And so that's what this is all about. Just making sure you the detail. All officers, please when you give your reports, make sure you stick to the work of the committee. Please, this is a professional environment. And finally, I'm gonna let Dr. Dodoni talk about this mostly, our wonderful education forum. The only thing I want to say is one of the things that was critical when the Lord laid on my heart to have this forum was the parents were complaining. Reverend Jones, we found complaints about discrimination against our children and they died. Nobody gets back with us. So when I talked to Dr. Badell, I said, I need to come explain to everybody, especially the parents, the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s of filing a complaint, getting it addressed and getting it resolved. Here's a copy of a parent handbook. Anybody who wants a copy, on pages 18 and 19, it lays out the complaint process. When you file something with the principal of the school and they don't do it, you got 10 days. So they don't do anything about the 9th day, you need to be going to the next step. And what has happened is many parents miss the deadline. That's why their complaints die. So now, thank God for Dr. Badell coming there and sharing the information with us. We all know there's a copy of a handbook, a parent handbook, if you want to get it, or if you know a parent who needs it, if you ever complain about something, pages 18 and 19 gives you the process. Okay, so that's all I want to share. So we don't take too much time. If you have some questions, of course, you can always ask. But if there are no questions at this moment, I want to proceed to the, yes, sir. Dr. Don, you want to answer that?
Is it on? If we could hold a portion of that discussion, Reverend Jones and for Jones and Mr. Jones, during the education committee section, the words you presented. That I have seen key places as we attempt to sort these complaints. I am, of course, completely with you for now. I regard you as both a friend and a mentor. Thank you. I would like to address that.
When we get to the education report, I'll address that. But I can just tell you what was generally what they were saying is in the parent handbook, pages 18 and 19. Every step you take, if it follow these steps, it will be addressed and resolved. But there's some challenges that Dr. Dodoni spoke about at the education forum. Did a marvelous job, and we'll let her talk about that today. Okay, we get to the education report. Okay, at this point here, we're gonna go forward to the first vice president report. Mr. Steve Waddy, is he on, Mr. Downing?
Yes, here. Mr. Waddy is on.
Thank you. I don't have much to report, just that I participated in the monthly meeting of the Coalition for Police Accountability in Anne Arundel County. And we met with the Police Accountability Board Director, Moya Panda, and it was myself and several other coalition member organizations, including the ACLU and Surge. We talked about some really interesting aspects of the Police Accountability Board. She mentioned the appointment of the new District 4 Police Accountability Board representative. If you all want to find out more about that, that was done at the last county council meeting. And she also mentioned that one of the things that's really hampering her ability to be a more successful and powerful executive director is the ability to investigate. And I think that's something that the NAACP has been focusing on, is making sure that the police accountability boards become the investigatory power, get the subpoena power to investigate cases, and because at the moment law enforcement agencies are investigating themselves, and so this is something that we know police can't police themselves. So we are looking to continue our advocacy on that front, and we're glad that the Police Accountability Board Director recognizes some of those issues. We also talked about membership and trying to make sure that we can get formerly incarcerated people onto boards. The board right now they're banned from participating. She also mentioned that the Anne Arundel board has been, and as the executive director for the Anne Arundel County Police Accountability Board, she's been in contact with police accountability boards around the state. Anne Arundel County is kind of like at the mid-level in terms of its progressiveness, I would say, because there are police accountability boards that are made up of entirely of former law enforcement officers, whereas Anne Arundel County does not have that issue at this moment, where we are made up entirely of former law enforcement officers, and so we're making good strides. We have mental health professionals, we have education professionals on our police accountability board. So we learned a lot, and look forward to continuing to build our relationship with the coalition and the Police Accountability Board so that we can maintain people power at that level. We're working on the newsletter. Joanne Bond has been doing great work on the newsletter, and we're going to have a recap of the education forum. I think the president's message is going to mention a recent affirmative action case, and how we need to address that legally and in the community. And we're also going to have some photos from recent events, including an anti-violence march that went on in Mead Village. So we're definitely trying to keep our presence known in the community and highlight what's happening in the community as well, provide people with a little bit of understanding of how the NAACP would approach some of these issues. So I appreciate you giving me the chance to speak, and look forward to hearing the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Waddy. Appreciate that, sir. Any questions for Mr. Waddy? Okay, we'll go to Mr. Downing, Second Vice President. Hopefully, you can report, sir.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. I will share my report as well. I believe I sent it out. Mine will be very brief. As it was mentioned earlier by President Jones, I also attended the educational forum that was held on June 14th. Very informative, and looking forward to hearing Dr. Dodoni's readout during her presentation. One of the other activities that I participated in, so as Anne Arundel County representative to a group that's called The Collective, it's an informal group that is comprised of African-American sororities here in the county. We are going to be participating in a backpack giveaway at Park Elementary, which is in Brooklyn Park. Usually when we participate with the collective group, the Anne Arundel County NAACP is there to perform voter registration, particularly where Park Elementary sits. It's right in the community of Brooklyn Park. So members will not only come up to get resources and goods, but we'll also give them information about the NAACP, asking them if they're registered to vote, asking if they're members, and just making sure, as First Vice President Waddy had mentioned, that we are available to support them in whatever civil rights needs they may have. We just want to make sure that we have a presence up in that portion of the county because as an organization, we try to cover all parts. So, but as far as the backpack giveaway, there may be a financial ask of the NAACP to contribute to that effort. I will submit that formal presentation to President Jones, and I will report back to the general membership what our contribution amount was for that event. that is all I have for now. I'll circle back to my other item, which is on my report once we get to the Freedom Fund Committee. Are there any questions or comments? Yes.
Good morning. Just one question pertaining to someone. Have you sought out any sponsorship in terms of seeking assistance, and how many backpacks? Is there a goal for the amount of backpacks that you would like to have?
Yeah, so the goal for this year, so with our collective partners, which is the North Arundel Delta Sigma Thetas, one of their members, Dr. Sean Ashworth, she has supported this backpack giveaway in the previous years. So last year, her goal was 320 backpacks. That was her goal for last year. Her goal for this year is to double that, which is roughly around 600. So we have a kind of regular recurring meeting. So the next time that I meet with her, I'll get a statistical count on how many backpacks that have been committed, and then I can report that back to our general membership.
I'm assuming that we had the backpacks from last year, they were all taken. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so
Definitely, I'm assuming a lot of children showed up.
yeah, so yes, all of her backpacks were pretty much given out to members in that community. Not only does so for Dr. Ashworth, she also has another nonprofit that she does regular food distribution and giveaways in that community. But just for the backpack giveaway, she's asking for more organizations to participate. So she has a ongoing program that has been occurring in that area. So, but she mentioned last year all her backpacks were given away. But again, she is getting commitments from other organizations to help increase that number for this year.
I look forward to your request. That's
Yep.
more than the church, that's more backpacks than we give out.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, I think the liberty should support that. So just make the request. And I'll put it.
Yes. Any other questions? Yield my time back to Mr. President.
And Mr. Downey will be back about the Freedom Fund Bank when we get to that point. So at this point here, the treasurer's report, Mr. Roman.
Everybody. Yeah, so Ralph wasn't able to be here today, so I'm filling in. My name's Jen Roman. I'm the assistant treasurer. So for the treasurer's report this month, at the beginning of June, our bank account had $23,289.47. We had deposits of $1,000 and $127.92. Expenses were $623.69. And the end of June, our balance was $23,793.70. And then before I forget, he also asked me to let you know we're looking for people to sign up for voter registration for the Family Day Festival on July 29th. So that's in 2 weeks on a Saturday. Right now we have slots open for 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. and 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. So there's a sign up paper on the desk there. I'll also put in the chat for people on Zoom if they can contact Ralph if they want to sign up. And then you also will get a free t-shirt. So if you want to sign up, let me know and I'll pick up shirt. Any questions? The event starts at 10. It looks like we have people signed up for the morning slots though, but if you're interested in helping out, then let us know. That's fine. Okay.
We're gonna pass on the secretary and assistant secretary reports, unless the three people I have in performing that secretary role want to say something.
Yeah, I do have a.
She's not here, but those are three people.
Yeah, I do have a just a quick comment on that, the secretary role. So President Jones had asked for me and Ms. Neva Stansberry to step in to support some of the secretarial duties, which involves, as we get new members, getting those members fully registered into the national database. So we had to go through a training process in order to do that. So Ms. Neva and Brother Ralph have completed that registration process for me and her to do so. So once we go through the training, we will be able to officially enter in members and interact with national to submit any reports and to bring back any information from the national NAACP. So
Great.
just keep you posted on that.
Thank you. That's the NAACP. Step in when we need it. If we have a gap. Thank you, Mr. Downey. And when we get to the end also, I want to give some recognition. People help us. Thank you, Mr. Downey, for the appreciate that. Our pastors, look, Lord, you could tell me used to be in the church. Reverend Jones is looking for a senior person to serve as our secretary. So if you know some senior people, please let me know. Excuse me for saying pastor. The Youth and College Division President, I believe he's here. Correct, Mr. Downey, the Youth and College Division President. Axel is Sister Brown here. Is she on? Sister Monique Brown? I know she's been ill.
She's not with us this morning.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. Armed Services and Veterans Affairs is Reverend Tillett here. I know Mr. Jones like I got his email. So
Reverend Tillett is online and
I
also.
am here. No report.
Okay.
Thank you, Reverend Tillett.
Yep.
Now, climate justice, Dr. Garrett. Climate justice.
Dr. Garrett is not with us, but she did submit a report
Yes.
along with, yep.
And you sent that out to everybody. I saw the email, correct?
Yeah, this morning we sent out a zip file package of all of the committee reports that were shared. So hopefully you all were able to download that. Just trying to consolidate the attachment package that you have, but all of the reports are in there.
So the ones who are visiting here, I invite to come. Those who are interested in climate justice, be sure you look at her report.
Yeah.
Dr. Garrett, PhD, wonderful sister, doing a wonderful job with it. And I'll be interested just because we always look for people who will have a heart for that particular work. As far as community coordination,
I'm here.
okay, and Miss Bailey, oh yes, indeed, glad to hear your voice. I knew you were leaving town. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. I'm gonna stand still. Oh, no problem. I'm gonna stand still since I know you can hear me right now. So I want to say something before I comment on what's in my report, because I did not add this for, excuse me, because not everybody may know this, but unfortunately we were not able to get the t-shirts that I planned on having us. So I don't know if everybody is aware or not, but we have to have a authorized NAACP vendor. So I tried to get information on that. I could not. But if you do let me represent you as the delegate for the convention, I will definitely get that information because I'll be able to reach out to the other branch heads. So as far as my report is concerned, I don't want to hold up everybody, have it right there. But one of the, I get excited about everything, of course, but one of the things I'm really, really excited is, if you notice in there, Erica Alexander, for those of you who do not know who she is from Living Single. Love that show. So she also gets out and speak, and she spoke at Bennett College recently for their commencement. I included that link in my report, so you can read her bio, you can watch the video. It's not long, I can't remember, it's like maybe 30 minutes, but she is so good. I would love to recommend her for our Freedom Fund banquet. So I know Reverend Jones reached out to Martin Luther King Jr. So if that doesn't work out, hopefully you will consider Erica Alexander, because I think she is phenomenal. Oh, and then the pictures are there in my report also. I hope everybody gets a chance to take a look at that for Juneteenth. So, and again, please take a look at the link tree, lots of stuff going on. So everything is up there, it's updated on our link tree page. That's all I have.
Thank you for letting us know about Erica Alexander for consideration, because we may be coming that route depending on how much money Martin Luther King, the Junior III is asking for. So thank you for that information.
No problem. She has a link on that page that says if you want to reach out for her for speaking engagements.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Any questions for Sky Bailey, community coordination? Great. We're gonna proceed to criminal justice. I was the criminal justice chair before I became the president, and I continue to serve in that role. I'm waiting for us to get people who have an interest in it, so I can put them in it, and I can get out of it. But in the meantime, it's important to me that we have, work done by committees. The work I did is what I shared with you earlier when I met with the chief attorneys for Governor Westmoreland. So that's the criminal justice, trying to get the courts to be more diverse. All that is part of criminal justice. A more diverse court is a more responsive court. And so that's the only work I've done with the area of criminal justice. And so unless there are some questions about that, they were very responsive to me. Just wanted to know that. Juvenile justice.
Excuse me. Oh, excuse me, President Jones. I have the ACT committee report.
Oh, I said beautiful. I'm sorry, Ms. Davis. Thank you very much. My most humble apology, dear. Why don't you give a report now?
Sure, thank you. You're welcome. So it should be on the screen, or when it's on the screen. Basically, there's 4 research action teams that were formed based on the listening sessions, and those include mental health, gun violence prevention, education, and housing. And there's meetings set up for each of those groups now. I'm going to put one link in the chat that will be the link for everything that's on this report. They've created an events calendar, so it makes it really easy to find what's going on with ACT. The other thing going on is that they have community organizing trainings coming up. A couple have already happened. And the last thing is they're having a countywide action team meeting in September. So everything is on this one link I'm going to put in the chat. And that's all for now. Thank you.
Ms. Davis, Ms. I'm sorry for overlooking. I did read your report. I'm looking at a few links in your report. That's the link you're making reference to now?
Yes.
I see. Okay. All right. Make sure it's the same thing I'm looking at in the report. Are there any questions for Ms. Davis? I'm sorry. I can't hear you. Give me the mic. I can't see. So,
If we don't have the link through the Zoom, if we're here in person, how do we get the link?
okay, what can I do it in?
The last email I sent out last night with the reports.
Are you a member? You a member?
Yeah. I sent one out last night. It's a zip package that has all of the reports. So you'll see NAACP ACT. So all of the links that Linda just mentioned are embedded within her report. But if you did not, just send me an email. I'll make sure that you get it.
Anytime a member doesn't get Mr. Downey's emails about all the reports, just let me know. So we want everybody to have all of it. All the links are right here. So I was getting ready to go to juvenile justice. Miss Ellis Johnson, is she on, Mr. Downey?
No, she is not.
I see. Okay. And now we had economic development. Miss Mushaw, is she there?
Ms. Mushaw is not in, but we have one of our economic development committee members, Ms. Shay Cook. Shay, I know you've been busy over the past.
Okay. Thank you very much. And now let's get to before we get there, we welcome this gentleman in. Come on in, Mr. He's coming all the way. Somebody come Get from Harper County to our NAACP. Okay, great. Okay, so we're gonna get to the education report now. Dr. Dodoni, looking forward to your report at this time. Are you ready? Okay, he's getting the mic. Get the mic.
Thank you, everyone. The Education Committee remains busy. I hope we remain effective. Thank you, Reverend Jones, for responding to the call to host a town hall for parents to learn about the complaint process and to be heard. We did have parents in attendance. The people who spoke were, for the most part, people we already know. Many of us were in attendance as well. Well, I'm not sure about it either, dear. That was
phones
Thornell's
vibrating,
phone
muting something.
responding to me. So we in part reached the audience we wanted to reach, and we heard in part from the parent audience we wanted to reach. And everyone else who was there heard what was said. We hope to grow. Am I correct, Reverend Phillip? We hope to, Reverend Jones, sorry. We hope to grow, and we know the way to grow. The second part of that meeting was a panel discussion with Dr. Bedell, Deputy Superintendent Monique Jackson, our own President Reverend Jones. I was there, and the Honorable Carl Snowden was there. We each had a few moments to speak, and Deputy Superintendent Monique Jackson laid out the complaint process. I said I'd like to have a little discussion about that. I'll finish my brief report on the forum, and then I'd like to launch into that discussion. The forum, at the end of the forum, several of us went around and asked those who were in attendance, was this worth your time? Because it was largely people who've already been there before. The universal answer I received was yes. There was an honesty and an engagement to it that was very valuable to us. We were the community of persons who work in and for education, whether on the advocacy side or within the system, speaking together. That was my experience of it, and that was echoed. A week later, there was another education meeting hosted, convened by the Honorable Carl Snowden at Kingdom Celebration Center, and that was specifically for the Black community to hear from Dr. Bedell and addressing the memorandum of agreement with the NAACP dating back to 2005 and the 2012 complaint on discipline disparity. That was part of what we heard. Mostly what we had was a candid, I would say intimate engagement, again, with the advocacy community largely, much more, I'm aware as a white woman when I go into spaces where I'm talking about racial justice, of the racial balance. There was a heavier Black attendance at that event. And I believe, I'll ask Reverend Jones to comment, that Dr. Bedell was able to speak with an intimacy and understanding that perhaps isn't available in other spaces. Using my limited language, I would say that for a moment he could drop the code switching. I'm seeing some heads here nodding affirmatively. It was also a positive engagement. So any administrative system is a barrier to immediate response. Any system where a person has to advocate for themselves is a barrier to response. I don't mean that in a necessarily negative way. We have to have structure in order to engage. We have to have evidence and due diligence of the evidence. A parent handbook not known to everybody that takes time to work through is written rather than spoken is not the friendliest way. Let's talk about the user interface. The user interface for justice is not a user-friendly interface. What I've learned from some of my other volunteer work is that many organizations create a position of case navigator to work with an individual case and see it through. We don't turn people loose. If somebody comes to, and most of you know I work in the immigrant community, we sit with that person through their multitude of problems and assist them in working the system. Not just working the system for them, working through these administrative barriers. We help them understand how to work through it. I am thinking that
I'll get back. I'm on the NAACP call this morning.
Good morning. Go ahead. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, I'll call you back. Thank you.
that we may want to consider how we help parents and caretakers through that administrative process. That means we know the handbook. Well, let's put it this way. It means I and the people willing to do this know the handbook intimately. It means we make ourselves available at places where people need us. by the way, the libraries are wonderful places to be available. They will give us space to just sit, and there are libraries all over the county, and say, NAACP Education Committee and Legal Redress is going to be here on this date, this time. Come if you want, but that means that we have to know the stuff and do the work. So I present that as an idea. And as I said, I wanted to raise it for discussion. Reverend Jones, I apologize. This was laid on my heart to use the language we speak together when we're alone on my way here. I do not mean to
Actually mentioned that
surprise
to
you.
You remember, I actually mentioned that before. The NAACP would be here to help parents to walk them through the process. Make a list of what you got 9 days, they got to go to the next step. They don't respond, got to go to the next
Yeah.
step. And so I think I actually mentioned that we are here to assist them if they need help. I don't like to assume they need help. If they need help, I tell them the NAACP is here to assist. So that's 100%.
I appreciate that sentiment. However, our parents need help. Only 40% of our children were ready for kindergarten. It is clear that our parents need help, and it's on us to figure out how to communicate with them. We aren't doing it. The way we're doing it today, we are not doing it.
Dr. Donny, I talked about anything about education, make sure it goes to Dr. Donny through the education committee. And then Dr. Donny could let us know what if the parents say, I need to help you through this process. You could just let us know. I'll help you through it. But we want to make sure that they don't continue to run into the same barrier that they've been into. We're going to be anything directed everybody to do. Sure.
Jen Sell, I think you raised your hand on the Zoom call.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to kind of add that I know that NAACP is a multiracial community, and I just in my personal life, I've been having a lot of conversations lately with principals in the school district, and one of the things like I'd heard from the county and other places like we have a growing Hispanic population, but it really didn't hit me until I continued talking to principals and hearing the statistics at each of these schools, just exactly how much of a growing Hispanic community that we have. And so I know that predominantly our focus with the NAACP is on the impact to Black communities, but I do think that it would be really beneficial for the entirety of the diversity of Anne Arundel County if we also kept that growing Hispanic community and some of their unique needs, which are different language barriers and things like that, as we're moving forward with helping to be there as people are making those complaints to the schools.
I'm looking around the room and I'm seeing heads nodding affirmatively.
The ad was in Spanish. Remember the ad that we sent out? It was in
Yes.
Spanish. And y'all have to remember, Reverend Jones used to begin in Spanish at
You did.
the forums. I'm working on it. So,
Just as we're blessed to live in Maryland, where we have, I feel we are in some ways blessed. Leadership and have had since I've known the NAACP that embraces civil rights for all. So I hear you, Jen, and it's close to my heart. And I know that you're on our education committee. I think we have our, we shall continue. Is that a satisfactory answer, Jen?
Yeah, 100%. It's a work in progress, so I know.
This is Thornell again. And I just want to say that we have to be careful. The 0 to 5 is not the school system's problem. It's a community problem. If we rely on the school system to fix that, it won't get fixed. The blueprint does provide for 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds to go to school, but 0 to 3 or pre-birth to 3, that's on us.
Good morning again, everyone. This is Priscilla Monroe. I didn't want to omit what Reverend Jones said. He gave us an astonishing statistic. I will quote you back as saying 40%. I don't know how that affects anyone in this room or on Zoom when you hear 40%. It breaks my heart because, as we know, we have not come out on the higher end of the tragedy of what COVID did to us. And I'm speaking economics. And I say that because it's a sensitive matter, but sensitive matters need to be discussed. If we continue to let 40% of our kids not be ready, only 40%, excuse me, only 40, I knew what you said, only 40%. If y'all look at that numbers, that means that coming out of a household, whatever that family needs, and I'm not here to say what they don't have or have, but what can we do as our part to make sure that they have what they need? So when we look back, we can say we did our part to help them with what they need. When I was a stay-at-home mom, blessed to be a stay-at-home mom, I made sure that it would not be on any educator's lap to educate my 2 children. That's not everybody's story. So I want to put a spin on it. Let's think about meeting them where they are. If you cannot feed your child, you do not have the energy to say A, B, C, D in any language. I understand what she's saying about making sure that we can offer languages across the board. If you cannot feed your child, you cannot have the mentality nor the energy to get up every morning, and I'm gonna just say probably with more than one child, to be able to give them, and these are basics, you're just not gonna do it. I've seen it, I've been in the community long enough to know that it still exists. So I know we need to address the need, educational need, but I'm gonna have to put a spin on it. Let's go in offering some resources as well so that we can support, we can have wraparound services to support the need of the family. And I'm gonna leave it at that because I can go on.
Can I say something as well? Can I speak? Hi, I was a single parent and I had 2 young children. And I think we also need to remove the judgment because my son, I made just enough where he didn't qualify for Head Start. And as a single parent, I was working and I was going to school and he wasn't, okay, so they were taking the children who had the lowest income at the school at the time. So he didn't qualify for that. And I didn't have enough money to put him into like a school. And I was tired. And my son, when he finally got into school, he was behind. And when I begged for help, they told me, this is exactly what they told me. They didn't have enough money to help my son because they had to take the worst of the worst. And even though my son was struggling, and they knew he was struggling, they didn't have enough resources to help my child. So I had to get another job at Target, working 2 jobs and going to school to get a tutor for my son. And to me, when you tell people, okay, it starts at home, when people are struggling already and they're tired and they're going to school. And I remember going to UMBC, and I used to live in Pioneer City. And I remember going to UMBC and one of the interns was talking about the parents at Pioneer City. And she was talking about me. And I told her, and I said, what does a parent from Van Bocklen look like to you? And she was talking about, the parent involvement, people not being there. And I told her, I said, I am a Pioneer City parent and I am a parent from Van Bocklen. And I said, I'm sitting here in this classroom and I'm trying to get out this community. I'm trying to make the money that I need. I'm working 2 jobs. I work at T. Rowe Price as a stockbroker and I'm still not making enough money. So my biggest thing is you have to understand it's not always the parent doesn't want to be involved. I didn't have family. My mother died. I came from the Eastern Shore. I didn't have a support, the community. Not everyone has the village. Not everyone has the support from their community. You have to understand that. We have to figure out what we can do as a community to help those parents who don't have that, that village and that help as well. We don't have the resources.
Thank you very much. So I see the thread going to what Mr. Jones has said about for equity in education, for success in life, that being one of our goals. People being able to lead their full God-given life have to start well before the school system nominally takes over, although the school system does have programs that reach back to birth. So does the library system. There are isolated systems that are starting to come together, and I hope to come together. I will work to see them together, along with many, many others, more effectively, to create the village of free to launch into life. Amen to needing to meet our parents where they are. Understand that failure on the part of the parents, and parents doing extraordinary things already, if the parents don't meet your expectations. It's a teacher's expectation that the parent come to them. It's just like that student handbook where we gave you the information and you missed the 9 days. Parents don't even know. So I agree with what Mr. Jones said. I agree with what you're saying. We have to get the systems to the people and unite the systems. I'm certainly not the only one seeing this or saying that. I can tell you that I've been privileged to be in the places where it's discussed more and more and more. I will certainly point you to the work that the Partnership for Children, Youth, and Families is doing. I'm looking at Priscilla, and I know that you've been at all those meetings. I know the work that the Kingdom Celebration Center and the Child and Dr. Paula is doing, essential for this. I want to share with you that Lisa Finney, our former education chair from over 7 years ago, is revitalizing the Early Head Start program through the Community Action Agency. It's located in Edgewater. It's not enough, but it's something. She has notices out, and I will ensure that somehow we get the link to the entire, everyone who receives our emails, for an opportunity to read, to participate. I have nothing more to say except to ask for prayer, and I'm going to ask people to
you can actually pass it to Reverend Jones. I want to circle back, and please forgive me, to the parent that spoke about what she is doing. I asked Reverend Jones, I said, I just want to circle back, because the one thing I never want to omit is a person's effort. I needed to pause for that to make sure she understood that my statement is not an omission of anyone's effort. And yes, as a parent, I do know how tired it can be, but I want to circle back to say I know now that there are more support services in place. There's a term that says the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Sometimes we have to know how to squeak.
Sister Monroe belongs to Kingdom Celebration Center. They got magnificent services for parents. So we just need the parents to reach out to NAACP and we'll direct them. One last statement on this so we can go to the next committee report.
So I want to ask, how many children start school every year in Maryland? I'm going to tell you, about 88,000. Take 40% of that. That's the number of children that are not ready for kindergarten. These simple solutions that we keep talking about, and they are solutions for the people who are involved, are definitely not enough. In Anne Arundel County, about 7,000 students start every year. You take that, multiply that by 0 to 3 times, right? That's the number of students that we're talking about here. If we aren't talking about systemic solutions, we're not talking about solutions. We need to put a committee together to focus on 0 to 3.
Dr. Downey, you heard that? Sure. Okay, she's our education chief.
It's Thornell, me and Linda, and you can give us multiple names. You can call us the NAACP Education Committee. You can call us the Caucus of African American Leaders Educational Committee. And I know there are others there as well. Jen, I know you were there with us all the time as well.
Thornell is on your committee, so.
And I'm on his committee. I'm on his committee.
Government generated problem. This problem is generated by multiple government actions to isolate poor people. So they don't have any leadership. So they don't have any incentives, no pathway to growth. This is a community problem, and we need to address it as a community problem that the government was involved in generating. Finished.
Gotcha, sir. Gotcha, sir. All right. Finance, Sister Roman, do you have any more you want to add? As she shared her beautiful report, we were.
May I?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Larry Diggs here. Thank you very much for acknowledging me. I thoroughly acknowledge the issue with regard to Head Start. Recognizing the numbers and coming from a state, I worked for the state of New York for 28 years and I retired September 18th, 1998. So September, I'll be retired 25 years. That's right, man? Yeah, 25. One of the things that I recognized working under 3 governors, 4 actually, one I couldn't stand, but I recognized that the importance of the Head Start program, which was usually a recommendation through in the state of New York, the New York State Senate and the New York State Assembly. My mom, who was in the New York State Assembly for 8 years, and of course recognized all over the state and the country for her work with education and single heads of household. One of the things that's necessary is to make the government prepare or not even be responsible for, but to develop and fund a Head Start program. And let me explain. Thornell and I come from New York State, and I'm sure Thornell is familiar, or if not more so, about Head Start than I am. Head Start is the premier program to get youth started on the way to education and to life. The state of New York, through its gubernatorial reference recommendations and other methodologies, was able to establish a statewide Head Start program. It was phenomenal. What its status is now, I don't know, because I haven't been a resident in New York State for 17 years. But I think that's something that the state of Maryland, and especially through the NAACP, should try to put together a program and emphasizing Head Start for that key group to get them into action programs, to get them into Head Start programs so their parents will have the kind of relief bringing their kids up from the ages of 1 through 3 or 1 through 4. NAACP perhaps can be in a leadership role in recommending to our governor, who we're very fortunate to have a responsive government for the state of Maryland today, to make that recommendation through the NAACP to the governor to create a statewide Head Start program. Thank you very much for listening.
I'm gonna be listening to Dr. Bedoni as y'all discussing the educational idea. Something. So let's go to Freedom Fund. This is what I want to talk about. Mr. Downey, give us that good report about the Freedom Fund banquet coming up. our premier fundraiser. And we want everybody to be a part of it.
Yeah. Good afternoon again. On this past Thursday, the Anne Arundel County Freedom Fund Committee, we met to kind of kick off our planning for the Freedom Fund event, which will take place this year on Friday, November the 17th at the Doubletree Hotel. Some of the items that we discussed during our planning session was, of course, keynote speakers, getting some ideas for keynote speakers. I think it was alluded to before that Reverend Jones is reaching out to Martin Luther King III as a possible keynote speaker. We had some ideas on other speakers as well. But one of the things that the committee did discuss is that we're looking at changing the format a little bit, not too much, but just kind of just changing the way that we've done our Freedom Fund for the past, let's say 10 years since I've been involved, just to make sure that everyone is getting their money's worth, and also just making sure that everyone has a good time celebrating those awardees that will be recognized on that evening. So more like a gala type function versus we'll still have a keynote speaker, right? But just kind of the sequence of events, so to speak. Yeah. So, but again, those are some ideas, not set in stone. In regards to ticket price, so we're working on solidifying what the ticket pricing is going to be. It may start out at $85 initially. It may go up to $100 as we get closer. But again, as we prepare the flyer and the details of the event, which hopefully we'll have that wrapped up at the beginning of August, we'll start disseminating that out not only to our membership, but also to the community at large as well. Like I said, the second phase of it is identifying awardees that should be recognized for the work that they've done over the calendar year. So we may be asking you all to provide input on members that you think should be recognized. I will say that some members we may have recognized in the past, so we don't want to kind of rehash, but there are some other members that we haven't recognized before that we definitely want to make sure that they get their time to shine, so to speak. So again, more to come with planning activities. Our Freedom Fund Committee, we're going to be meeting every other Thursday. We have definitely included Reverend Jones as a part of that notification group. But again, the biggest thing is our keynote speakers. As you may know, some keynote speakers, their honorarium fees are pretty hefty. So we're going to try to manage that along with all of our other budgetary items. So
I did communicate with key organizers yesterday.
Move your mic a little closer.
And she gonna put something in writing for me, because she says, Reverend, just make it a contract to you. I said, that's perfect. That's exactly what I need. And so when I get the details, Mr. Donner, you will hear from me immediately. But I want you to know we had a good conversation, and he has reserved that particular date on his calendar. And so it's reserved. He hasn't told me the money part yet, so we don't know if we're going to use him, but it's reserved on his calendar. And I was very clear to her that we a local NAACP branch, and we don't have an unlimited source of money. So I was very plain with her and clear. So it's reserved. She'll be getting back with me with the contract. Once I get it in writing, I got it from there. Once I get from writing, you'll hear from me.
Okay. Yes, E. I mean, he could also be a consideration. I know that Governor Moore has been moving around the state pretty frequently. So, not saying that we would not reach out to him, but we want to kind of bring in newer faces to the county, not discrediting anything with Governor Moore, but we just want to kind of bring in someone that doesn't normally come to this county that may be able to offer a perspective of some of the work that they're doing outside of the state that kind of help enhance what we're doing. Yeah.
just had the advantage about a month ago to listen to a person from outside of the state of Maryland who was a charismatic, dynamic preacher type. And that was with our environmental event that occurred, what is it, 3 Fridays ago? Yeah. Justin Jamal Pearson from Tennessee. If you weren't there, you missed a treat. That might be one of the considerations just one consideration.
Thank you. Good morning still. Shay Cook here. First question is, can we send out a save a date? Because my November's already almost booked. So for people like me that are already booking throughout the year, if we can add this date. And then can we get like a donate, somebody to sponsor and pay for these speakers for you?
We definitely seek sponsors.
Oh, okay, because I might know some, so I just want to put that up.
We on that Friday the 17th. Somebody need to tell them to change it. We got our people come back on that Friday. So you tell change that stuff. That's more important than what we doing. Right. Make sure we talk to them. Tell them move your dinner to Saturday. We got our freedom from banquet on Friday. Okay, and let me know if you got a contact person. I'll ask them. Okay.
Yeah, I like the NAACP to think very seriously about why we have these meetings and see if we can't focus on somebody to speak about solving the problems that we have that are so huge.
Thank you, sir. At this point here, we're gonna go to Sister Monroe. Unless there's another question about the Freedom Fund report. Okay, Sister Monroe, our health chair.
Like Ms. Cook said, it is still morning. It is. And good morning, everyone. So everyone should have received the report. So what I'll do is just a brief synopsis of the report that's already been given, but not to overlook anyone that didn't. So report as of July 12th. Annapolis, a new partnership between Anne Arundel County Mental Health Agency and the Prosper app, which focus on connecting young people to support and services. The app provides self-care and community connections. The goal is to improve health outcomes with Anne Arundel County residency. In this report this is an addendum from their report. I added it to our health report because I just felt like it was so important because it addresses the concern of the youth. You can also go on the Anne Arundel County Health Department link or website to get the report and read all the other information that's on. 211 is a local resource number that is sponsored by United Way to provide resources within the state of Maryland. It is a great resource number that anyone can use, whether it's for yourself, your platforms, whatever community event that you engaged in. You can call and say, I am looking for resources for someone that may need assistance with BGE. They will ask you your zip code. Then they will give you a local agency that is connected to the need of the persons or people. I am suggesting you put it in your library, as most of us are out here in the community doing wonderful things, because it's a good pass off to say, oh, this is a 3-digit number that you can use to seek resources. On June 30th, as Larry Diggs, which is my uncle by love, who came all the way down from Hartford County, I wanted him to say that, because that means he's traveling because of love, because he could have easily stayed in his county to do many things there. But he said, you know what, our wonderful president said, let's bring him in. I think we need to, as much as he's in the county, get some funds together. This is off the record. Get some funds together to help him pay for a hotel room one day, because he's in here somewhere. I'm using my time. We don't want his work to be in vain.
He's a former member.
He is. As of July 1st, Maryland legalized some amounts of cannabis, which is the proper name for it now, to use and possession. Under the enabling legislation, adults 21 and older may possess, use, and grow cannabis. Marijuana is now referred to as cannabis by Maryland laws. Cannabis possessions and use became legal on July 1st. I just feel like it's very important to highlight that for educational purposes. On June 13th, I had the pleasure of visiting a local garden bed at Georgetown Elementary School to promote healthy eating and healthy mental health through gardening. We know anything you do within the school is mandated by the school regulations and laws, so the children can't partake in the eating of that particular, the growth of the particular vegetables, but they can observe and see the importance of how gardening fresh fruit actually does help stimulate a child as they are growing and developing. We had a grand time at the Juneteenth parade. I'm not going to step on Sky's toes, as she's doing a phenomenal job in the community, but we had a great time taking pictures and just being involved. And summertime is always, you can get more healthy foods in the summer versus the winter, as we are in the thick of the summer, which kind of goes by too fast. On my report, you will see the MD Bio Lab, which is located at Oldington Library. That lab is attached to a nonprofit program that is for any child within this in the county, whether it's public school system, private school system. And on February, I think 1st, don't quote me, I will give more additional information, as I just found out about this program. Any child that's interested in bio related to STEM, this is a free program that offers hands-on activity with the Bio Lab, which is a nonprofit organization. Again, you will see on my report different pictures of activities that are supported within my report, and and also, as we know, some good healthy eating. So thank you very much, President and members. This concludes my report. If you have any additional resources, any activity or events that's going on within the county, please reach out to me. I can see if I can put it on my schedule. I'd rather be in the know than not know. And thank you very much.
Report at this time. The legal redress, I've already talked about that. If you look at paragraph 11 of my report, has everyone read my report? If you have not, I'll read. Anybody has not read the president's report? Anyone's not read? One of the things about legal redress that I discovered once I became president was a lot of people filing complaints, but they weren't thorough and couldn't really deal with it. They had to keep going back and forth. And I need this, I need that. And after a point, people start thinking you're not trying to help. And so what I did was I wanted to lay out in paragraph 11 the things that I'm looking for when I look at a complaint. What happened with details? When did it happen? Where did it happen? With identification of location by name and address. Who was involved? Full identities and contact information. How did the victim or family respond? Was the incident reported? To whom was it reported? What was the response? And were any meetings held with officials? Was a formal complaint or process followed for the entity involved? So a lot of times they're not taking the formal steps that you need to take. And if you missed the deadline already, then we can't waste time on it. We gotta let you know you missed the deadline. And so a lot of things that the reports are coming to us after they missed the deadline is after the fact. You can't really do anything with it then. And then also, were any documents created or provided and are they available for review? If everybody who files a complaint give us this information, we probably won't have to talk to them anymore about anything. I'll let them know what they never choose what to do. And so it's just that when they don't give me the information, I'm going back, and people get frustrated with that. You ain't trying to help. Then they say something negative about the NAACP to somebody else, they ain't trying to help. But we need these details. You know? I know it's kind of lawyer-like, but if we get that, we got something we can work with, something meet with officials and try to help them. The NAACP is very effective when we meet with these government officials. I'm up there meeting with with our attorney general, new attorney general, you know, and so they'll meet with us, but we can't come there after. And so this information will give us what we need to go and have the effective meeting and get change. Okay, so that's paragraph 11. So for people who don't have that, Mr. Downey sent it out if you're a member of this branch, and you should see it right there, paragraph 11. So you can pass it on to everybody who has a complaint about some type of discrimination. Was that a question? Okay. Okay, good. All right, so at this point here, membership, Sister Davenport, is she here today? I see, okay. Political action, I'm assuming Mr. Wiley doesn't have anything more to share concerning that, or does he? Add to what you shared earlier? Okay, all right. Public relations, we're gonna pass that. Prison branch, Ms. Green, is she on? Sister Green, okay, Sister Green, waiting to hear from you, dear. Prison branch.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for all this good information. But I think I just got to speak out because as a mother of a lifer and a voice for the voiceless, I would like to see more effort be put to supporting our strong leadership. They are bringing so much nugget to the table. Let us support them and help them to make their job easier for all of us. That's my plea. Another plea would be in the ACLU front page, they have a call out for the fearless Black residents at Federalburg, Maryland. They need help. Caroline County Branch NAACP needs support and expertise in what we know up here. So I would like to reach out, excuse me, please. I'd like to see us reach out to the brothers and sisters that need help with some of the expertise that we have and take, excuse me, please, and take for granted up here. So that's another thing. And we also have, I'm rushing because I know your time is limited. We also have a strong, Reverend President, you were there at the meeting. We had some strong brothers and sisters coming home. And I like to say they done been to the belly of the beast and they coming home strong and with information that we all can use in our efforts to make things work. I would hate to think that we would slide into being tough on crime when we really need to be smart on crime. We don't need to fill these jails up anymore. We work hard to try to give people a second chance. So I just got so much to say, but and I will get my report in. Just bear with me, please. But I love the superintendent of schools. Can you imagine somebody of that caliber going in and you, Reverend Jones, go in on the schools and touch people? You put boots on the ground. This is so important. And I just feel like I got to run my mouth about that. And it's just, I just like to want us to use that energy for all of us to take this to a level, because this is history. Maryland is in a history state, and we really need to support our leaders. Help them do their job and stop throwing people under the bus. Help them. Do something with them. That's all. I'm going to stop.
For those who
have a good day. I love everybody.
Thank you, Sister Green. Appreciate it. Wonderful report. What she's talking about is Dr. Bedell and I sat down together. I talked to him about going to the schools where the NAACP has received complaints about discrimination. He and I, two Black men, well-educated, well-spoken, well-dressed, to walk through the schools. We started doing that right at the end of school and pick back up the school year. And we went to 2 schools where we received reports about discrimination from. And we just meet the principal and hear what she's doing in terms of diversity, encouraging unity and togetherness. And also we walked the hallway, went to the lunch, during the lunch period time, the lunch cafeteria, went there, went to the students who they were trying to figure who we were. And I said, you see this man over here? I said, that's the superintendent of all the schools there in the county. Really? And who are you? I'm the president. And they just lit up like Christmas tree. And I said, is everything all right? How you being treated? We want all the children to know we were concerned about it. But we certainly want the children of African descent to know we're thinking about what's going on in the schools and it's not going on deaf ears. And it was, I'm just leaving just one example. There was one young lady, we walked in the classroom, and the teacher, she dropped the paper, dropped the pen, she's staring at me the whole time. So I'm getting concerned because she's missing all the lessons. And so it got to the point where that we were standing over outside by a trash can. And she said she couldn't take it. She just got up and go throw something in the trash can. It was near us. I said, "You all right, sister? You all right?" She said, "I'm just trying to show, be present, parents. It will change the environment." And so that's what Sister Green is referring to, but we had before. And I think it's important we show up instead of just get complaints. And so now the principal, the administrators, when we walked in, they were stunned. Dr. Bedell said, "Remember I told everybody I would show up unannounced?" He said, "This is one of those times." And so we walked there and the principal escorted us around and it was wonderful. And I believe it's important to see two Black men, well-educated, well-spoken, well-dressed, who were concerned about that. And it was a magnificent experience. And we only made it to 2 schools before school ended. And here I get ready to go some more. We're gonna walk any school will be any complaints about discrimination, we will show. So that's what Sister Green is talking about. The two, you want the name of my heaven right here. Let me find it. Is a question? Okay. Okay. Who is it? Ms. Hutt, if you have a question, could you please share it with us?
I was interested in joining one of your committees about housing. And the reason why is that I'm not here as a representative for them at all. I actually work for the Anne Arundel County Partnership for Children, Youth, and Families. I'm a housing specialist there. Before I joined them, I worked for the Housing Authority for Baltimore City for several years, and I'm NAACP certified. But what I've been noticing as a housing specialist for Anne Arundel County is that there's a lot of racism in housing in Anne Arundel County, and it's systematic, and it's through the policies, and it's by design. And it's deeply, it's really deep. And I was really shocked by how deep it is. And it's by some of our own Democrats that it's being upheld. And we have a lot of work to do. And I was just really shocked. I took this position about a year ago, and some of the things that I've been, exposed to and I've seen, it's just really hurtful. And a lot of people, what's going on, with COVID, we really need affordable housing. A lot of landlords are discriminating against people, and the way they're discriminating, it's legal because, they want 3 times the amount for income. And I'm talking about people making $60,000 and $70,000, and they're not able to find rentals. We have people coming to my agency who are making $60,000 and $70,000 and they can't pay their mortgage. They can't afford their rent. And it's not because they're being, they're not being responsible with their money. They are. They're stretched, they're paying, so much for food. Rent is almost $3,500 in good communities. People don't have the money, and the rents are getting even more expensive. I'm seeing townhomes that are $3,200 a month I'm just really shocked in Anne Arundel County, and a lot of our leaders are not doing anything about it. And something needs to be done.
What's her name? What's the lady's name? Stephanie Hunt?
Stephanie Hunt.
Ms. Hunt, this is President. Ms. Hunt, you are exactly the type of person that we need to be actively involved in NAACP. So this type of information, people think the NAACP knows about everything. We do not. And so we would like you to become a member if you're not a member.
No, I am a member.
Okay, we would like you to show up there because this is the type of information we need to determine how we're going to proceed. So what you shared is the exact type of stuff we want to know about. So if possible, could you please make contact with Mr. Downing or with me, and so we can connect and get some more details, and then we can determine how we can proceed. Do you follow me, dear?
Most definitely.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Downing, for the information. Okay, what I want to do, the question was asked. The 2 schools that Dr. Dale and I went to are Brooklyn Park Middle School and Severna Park High School. And I was trying to share with you how wonderful it was. And I'll leave you with this. We were in the cafeteria. One of the little boys, he came up to me. He said, "Can I touch your head?" I said, "Touch my head?" I said, "What you want to touch my head for?" He said, "Because your head is shiny." I said, "You can't touch my head, but I'll give you a pound, bro." And so I gave him a pound like that. But I'm saying it was just so exciting. It was like Jesus had walked in there. It was incredible. But it goes to show that children are in tune. We think they're not in tune with what's going on. Especially if they experience some type of discrimination, and then to see somebody from the NAACP and superintendent show up who are Black men, it's powerful. I think I saw Brother Diggs' hand first.
I preface saying that by indicating that it's my honor and pleasure to be down here to be a part of the Annapolis and Anne Arundel County NAACP. Now, in conjunction with that, and with the educational piece, and with your visitations to the high schools and the other schools, Alderwoman Sheila Finlayson, this goes about 5 years ago, what she would do 7:30 on a Wednesday morning and show up at River Road, is Anne Arundel? She would show up Annapolis High School, 7:30 in the morning. And Darnell was with us and his wife and others. And that's the kind of initiative that has to take place. And those students were so appreciative of the presence and she started that. And parenthetically, I want to say pray for her because she's going through some family issues with transition family. But I think that's an imperative to have that outreach to the students, whether it's saying good morning on a bright, sunny April morning and welcoming them, telling them how, and especially at the beginning of school. We need more, and I think they started that program with men coming into the schools and walk, and I'm wondering whatever happened to that. That's something that I think that needs to be explored, expanded, and used as a foundation to build on. Thank you.
Well, Ms. Finlay, I reached out to her for the education forum, so she helped us spread the word with that. So I've reached out to her because I know she's a former educator. Okay, one other question so we can proceed, everyone.
The question about men going into the schools, that's been revitalized under Superintendent Bedell. And it continues what had been known previously as the Ministry of Presence and had gone under several other names. And I know Thornell is closely involved with that through talks of African American leaders as well. The hashtag Be Present, and there's screening and clearances, of course, but it continues to be presence, and particularly presence of adult Black males in the community. Thanks to Alderwoman Finlayson, that was a remarkable presence. She joined at the same time, and that followed on one of the horrific events. There have been so many, I've forgotten it. Yeah. Sure. Oh, here's the good news. We've changed the start times. You can leave later.
Well, in terms of being involved in the school, the Be Presence initiative Dr. Bedell started, I think 18 parents have already been cleared. You got to do background checks, all that stuff now. So he told me at least 18 parents have already been cleared, so they're ready to start going into school this year. And so it's another question for beautiful. Okay, no public relations, religious affairs, you or WIM, unfinished business. The only thing I want to share is Mr. Downing, our second vice president, chair of our education committee, Dr. Dillon, and also a member of the education committee, Ms. Amanda. I wanted to give them some recognition because the education forum that we had on June 14th, the day after the last day of school, was the first thing that I've done as the president that I thought was very important that we hear from the students. I shared at the education forum. This forum is not for officials. Dr. Dodoni, helped me out by giving me advice. Mr. Downey took care of the reporting, so it's always available historically for the NAACP. And Sister Amanda Harper, she's not here today. But she showed up, Reverend Jones, I'll take notes, I'll do whatever you need to do. She showed up, she was at the early, she took all the notes, even writing my report. I relied on heavily on what she had reported, because I didn't remember it all. These are the type of members that I look for in the NAACP. You know, I know everybody is adjusting to Reverend Jones as president. I've been president for 6 months. And so I'm expecting everybody to be adjusted now they kind of know Reverend Jones, and they supported me in a manner that really touched me. And I want to know, I want everybody to know right now, at the Freedom Fund banquet, Reverend Jones gets a chance to name people who should be recognized. And I will be naming Brother Doney, Dr. Dodoni, Brother Downey, Dr. Dodoni, and Amanda, because they came through magnificently, and I would like to recognize them for their support of the president and the great work of the NAACP. Please recognize them. Downey, Dr. Dodoni, and Sister Amanda Harper, and I want you to know I appreciate that type of support. Many times we come in a new position, you get a lot of opposition, sometimes unjustified. But there's certain people who have the maturity to support who's in authority, just like I supported Madam Allsep when she was president. Everybody know I love Madam Allsep. Whenever she said anything to me, I was like this. My wife said, I'm so tired of hearing you say Madam Allsep. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Because she would call me. I say, Madam President, what you need, Madam Allsep? She said, if I hear Madam Allsep in this house one more time. Even though I've been a pastor for over 20 years and practicing law going on 35 years, I know how to follow. You must learn how to follow in order to be an effective leader. And so Brother Downey, Dr. Dodoni, and Amanda Harper, they showed me maturity that was refreshing and touched my heart. And I want them to be recognized at the Freedom Fund Bank. I just want to say that to you. Thank you very much to all of you. Appreciate you. That's all I want to share. Now, new business. I mentioned, unless there's something else, I want to get right to reparations since we have a little time. I'll talk about this from a historical perspective because I want to come back on this. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Oh, yes, that's right. So we got time. We got 15 minutes. So we got to vote on the convention. Want to do that first?
Yeah, let's do that now.
Okay. Let me give Brother Downey is going to give us the historical perspective. But every year at the NAACP convention, usually we'll recommend that the president, of course, will go, and then some other members who express an interest, and we agree they should go with the president as well, will be sponsored by the NAACP. And so I want Mr. Downey to give us a little history about how this occurred in the past, and we need to vote on that today. Okay, those who are here. And so why don't you give us a little history, Mr.
Yeah, just very quickly. So in the past, under even President Allsep and also under President Tillett, each year the National NAACP Conference has an annual convention. This year, the convention is going to be held in Boston, Massachusetts on July 28th through August 1st. So as a branch, we have always fully funded the president's expenses to go to the convention. In the past, we have had at least one person to attend with him in person. I do know during COVID, they had some virtual options, which I think maybe the past couple of years, I think Mary may have, did you sit in on one of the virtual national conferences? Yeah. So, it's not that the trip that Reverend Jones and the other individual is that they're going to be, it's not a vacation. They're actually doing work. There's several series of seminars, presentation. There's national resolutions that they will have to participate in. I believe you may have to bring back a report, Reverend Jones. Yeah, but the individuals that would represent the branch will actually be working as a part of going to this year's conference. So again, like I mentioned, the president would be covered, and then we would send one other individual. For this year, the individual who has expressed interest is Ms. Sky Bailey. Last year, Sky went and she brought back some of the information that she got from the national convention, and she was able to incorporate that into her community coordination committee, i.e. like the link tree idea. I know that she has started on it before, but based on her exposure to the convention, for the national conference. She was able to expand it in order to get us involved in other activities. So I say that to say is that in order to commit finances for individuals to go on the trip, we would have to vote on President Jones and Ms. Sky Bailey in order to make that official. We're not really sure what the cost is going to be. Since it's in Boston, it may not be that super expensive, but again, it's an expense that the general membership would have to vote and agree on.
Let me say this as well. I'm going to do hybrid. So the first 2 days I'm going to do Zoom, and the last 2 days I'm actually go there. That's going to save our branch some money. As you all know, our money is kind of limited because of the victim of financial debt. And so I want to save that. So mine's going to be first 2 days going to be hybrid. Zoom, last 2 days I actually go there. That's to save the branch quite a bit of money. So, Sky Bailey is the only one who expressed an interest. So that's the reason why. And I want everybody to know that this convention is occurring at the exact same time as the National Bar Association, that I'm a life member of, I'm also the chair of the Long Religious section. I don't miss that for nothing. But because I believe God put me in this position, I miss it. Right. So how we want to proceed with this, Mr. Donald? How you want to do the voting? Are you want to tell everybody online, raise their hand or whatever? And then we count the people here. If Reverend Jones and Sky Bailey are the two that we will approve, unless there's somebody else.
Yeah, so I make a motion that Reverend Jones as our president and also Sky Bailey as our community coordination chair go represent the Anne Arundel County branch of the NAACP at the National NAACP Convention in Boston, Massachusetts on the date of July 28th through August 1st. The expenses, once they have booked their reservations, they will report back to us what that expense will be. Second by Ms. Shay Cook. Second. All right. Those in favor signify by saying aye or hand wave. I have two thumbs up and a hands up. Any opposition? All right, just report back to us. So make your reservations, report back. So Brother Ralph Thomas will be in contact with you immediately. Because yeah, and then also I know Mary, I know we put a lot on your plate, but the registration process, I know last year, well, actually Sky went through it last year, so she can assist you. Oh, yes, okay. So Mary can assist in the registration. Just kidding.
Y'all gonna have to
as needed.
Nothing about it. So
yeah. No, I would say they would register, and if they have any questions, you could probably contact President Emeritus also. She could probably help. Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
I'm real pleased, everyone, that we're gonna end on time. I'm real pleased that we're gonna end on time.
No, but no, not like you said, real quick, not to put everything on Mary, but I think we may be able to get assistance from the state conference, Miss Neva Stansberry. She can help us. She can help through that process as well.
Always here to be an assistant. She's the best. Sister Robert's the best. I'm sure they're gonna figure it out. But anyway, I'm real happy we ended on time. Timeliness is very important to me. Yes, sir. Please.
Okay. Have you heard of Anne Arundel County 311? Okay. I until one day, just a few months ago, I brought it up, and I must have had information services on. And it's a app or a phone number you can call to report problems. You know, faults in your things like that. And so I brought it up, and it turned out to be me. Somebody me. And let me show you here.
what the complaint looked like on the ad. It says here, what's the reason is had legal signs, and it said hate speech pastor. And so, and then I found out this complaint was made like almost a year ago. It's been online all this time. It has my address and everything on here. And what happened is there was a Black Lives Matter sign. And then I had on my tractor, this is my yard waste, hate, stop hate comments. To harass people. So everyone should check out their home because I was never notified by the county. They did come, they did ask the complainer if to clarify the nature of it, but they did.
Now, what was this? What kind of report was this?
On in Arundel County.
Really? 311 in Arundel County. Right. That concerns me and the NAACP. Some 311 in Arundel County. We're going to have to do some follow up on that to find out, whether they find out. Oh, okay.
At the county office. See, it went to the Office of Planning and Zoning, I think, and they never came out and looked at it. Even
Planning and
so,
zoning.
but they never took it off either. So it had been out there, and we had people coming by.
That's something we got to look in. We got to look. Have to follow up on that.
But so there is, you can call the number or you can make a complaint on.
And who mans this phone? Is it Office of Planning and Zoning? Who mans it? Who mans the department? The executive office.
Resource that used to help.
And
And
somebody's using it
and
for another
someone
purpose.
is using to
Understand.
highlight taking the opportunity to highlight what they don't like. But the actual 311 is to report local concerns within the county, like she just said, regarding potholes and things of that nature. I don't think on that website it says what you can't report, but on the website it says what you can support. So I always suggest.
It's like a loophole, so to speak. People use it for something other than what we've intended. All right, thank you for the information. It's very important information. Thank you for that. Let me conclude. We got about 5 minutes. I want to conclude on time. I want to mention to everybody a little history about reparations. So I want to start thinking about this, and hopefully next month after next, we can kind of vote on whether we want to have a resolution on this practice. In 1865, the Emancipation Proclamation, after the people of African descent, after they were freed, the United States passed an order that because of the difficulty of having nothing when you're free, this is where the 40 acres and a mule, 1865 was an order, yes, United States government passed an order that newly freed slaves would get 40 acres and a mule. gentleman by the name of William Garrity. He wrote a book From Here to Equality. He's a professor at Duke University, and also he's a professor of public policy. He did a wonderful work, From Here to Equality. Make sure you get the book, where they looked at the value of slave labor to America at the time. It was the #1 asset in America, slave labor production in 1865. So when he did a time value of money to try to determine what that would be today and what type of reparations would be fair to those of African descent. And his work, it's real thorough work. I'm just kind of talking in general. You got to read the details. He concluded that in terms of time value of money, every African American is entitled to $350,000. In 1989, the United States House of Representatives passed Bill 4, which was to set up a commission to study a national policy for slavery and to consider reparations, because it was just a bill. It wasn't bipartisan, so it died. So the question has been, why should we pay reparations to people who basically are not living anymore, and the descendants are so far down the chain? Why should we do that? Because it hasn't been done for anybody else. And so I'm talking about in terms of the time period that has passed. But here are some things that happened in terms of reparations. In 1988, there was a civil liberties bill in which Japanese who were interned were paid $20,000 each. That's a situation where the United States was at fault. But 911, the United States was not at fault, and those people were paid. In addition to during the Carter administration, you remember the Iran crisis? Those folk who were hostages, when they came back, they were paid $4.4 million. America was not at fault. So in terms of the legal basis of the president, nobody can argue reparations are not legal or not logical, because we've already done it, even when we were not at fault. And so I want y'all to think about that. I'll bring the book here so you can get a chance to look at it at the next meeting, just to start thinking about whether we should have a statement from our branch concerning the wisdom of reparations and the legal and factual basis for it, because they're paying everybody but black. So that's just a little piece of history on reparations, because I called the state president, because if I said anything, I want to make sure the state and the national had not made a public statement on it. And he said, Reverend Jones, it's a very complicated issue. He said, but if you want to state something from the branch, you all can vote on that and discuss that. And so that's why I want to bring it to the branch for consideration. But it's a good idea that you read that book, From Here to Equality, by William Garrity, the Duke professor. It's very insightful, very in terms of the data. The NAACP is a data-driven organization. When we have the data, we make an argument, we protest in some way, you better believe we got support for it in terms of statistics and data. And so it's very powerful. So I encourage everybody to look at that. I saw Sister Roseanne first, then.
Just to ask you a question regarding that topic matter, would you like to put this down as an action item?
Yes, but
and
I
so-
don't want to do that now. I
Okay, I
at
just
the
want to
next meeting, I want
understand.
everybody kind of just reflect on it for a
Food
minute.
for
Do your
thought?
own research, for
Okay.
thought right now.
Okay.
And then at the next meeting, we're gonna have a more robust conversation about it, and we can decide what we want to do as a branch. I can't, we gotta vote on something before we make a statement. But I just want y'all to think about it.
Okay, reason why I suggest it as an action item, because it's such an important topic that we don't want to omit. And then if we put it as an action item, it's up to you, of course. If we put it as an action item, there's a record of us talking about it. I just know what kind of don't get followed through. Okay.
Okay,
we can-
unfinished business. I don't make it too formal yet. I kind of just want to think about it, because it's a very involved topic. If you haven't read on it, you fall into the majority of folks who saying that's ridiculous. So I want everybody to kind of think about it, look at the data, and then we come back, we'll be more formal next time. Brother Diggs?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Two things. First of all, it's important to have the statistical information as well as background information on what you just stated. There is other information on if you've read the 1619 project, chapters under economics and capitalism are very explicit with regard to those statistics. At our last caucus meeting, there was a lady on that gave a tremendous amount of information, website location. So if you want to go on the caucus website, yes, and you yes, and you could it's streaming. She gives all of the websites. So it's important to come back to discuss it with a lot of background and information, discuss it intelligently. So we all have we're all on the same page.
Evansville, Illinois, they passed a law to provide reparations. Liston, Illinois, Durham, North Carolina also. So there are some local jurisdictions and counties that are looking at the data, realizing the United States has paid money to everybody but black folk, and they start to see the wisdom in so, yes, sir. Last question.
Well, I just say that, you know, we start talking about the effects of slavery and the economics from that. But lots of laws have been passed down through the years that turn out have our children unready for school. And that should be reparations also. You need to understand the connection.
Okay, so that's all I want to share. Yes, sir.
So as a libertarian, I don't really have a big trust in the government to solve any of our problems. I'm not too keen on reparations or how it will work. I do know a friend of mine, Larry Sharp, who was running for governor up in New York, was talking about instead of giving money to people, you stop taxing them. So like a third of our paycheck is taken from us, before we get it. So instead of relying on the government to give money to specific people, just stop taking those people's money. And so, I mean, my goal is that nobody pays taxes, but I'm a little bit of an anarchist in me.
And that's the discussion we want to have because, there are various ways. I think Illinois, they're giving them, I don't like the word give. Not giving black with anything. You're paying us for work we've already done. I don't like the word give. You're not giving us anything. And so, there are various methods in which reparations have been discussed to be distributed. Housing, land, not tax and things of that nature. The only thing I'm hesitant about when you start talking about telling me how to use money that belongs to me, I'm offended. I want to give it to my mother. It's none of your business. So you got to be careful. We don't slide this superiority stuff and returning to us what we earn. So I'm real when people say I'm gonna give and you don't need to get the cash, go ahead and do it in this way. Don't tell me what to do with my money. So you gotta be careful with that superiority type thing. So it's just for discussion. That's all. So we're gonna talk about this some more. Everybody get a chance to think about it. That's it. Unless there's any unfinished business, we're gonna I'm gonna get a motion to conclude the meeting. And 15 minutes after that, I'm gonna pray. Somebody say, Reverend, don't close me with prayer. Everybody's not a Christian. So I'm gonna respect that. Get a motion to end the meeting. I'm in the meeting. For those hang around for 15 seconds, then I'll pray. All right. Can I get a motion to end the
before you end the meeting, may I make an announcement, please? And good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
Is that is that permitted?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, I just want to remind everyone of the upcoming charity fundraiser that we're having August the 12th, Jazz to Justice. We'll have celebrity waitstaff for that event. Again, look for it on Facebook. Look for it elsewhere. This is Community Actively Seeking Transparency. And for Kathy's sake, our second annual Jazz to Justice live music. It's not a formal program. It's an evening of fun and fellowship. And your wait staff will include persons such as Dave Grogan, such as Delegate Shanika Henson, such as Erica, a Register of Wills. These individuals and others will be actually waiting tables at night for charity. So we want you to look out for the flyer, and we invite your participation and support. Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Morris, and Brother Downey. You get the flyer and pass it out to the members.
Yeah, Reverend Morris, as soon as you have it, just send it to him. We'll send it out as an announcement.
Thank you, Reverend Morris. Okay, everyone. I already got a motion. Did I get a second to end the meeting? The July 15, 2023 meeting of the NAACP for Anne Arundel County has now concluded. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, beautiful, beautiful.
All right, this ends the Zoom session.